Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that one and done train. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos. One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. And we are powered, as you saw in that intro, by the galaxy's greatest website, drroto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host on a little bit of a high this evening from this Selection Sunday. And my name is Jay Heinrich, the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. At Dr. William Cannon on X, joined tonight by the person, nobody, I would rather not have this conversation with anybody else over this man. At MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, El Capitan of One and Done, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, big day, big day. Selection Sunday is here. We have ourselves a bracket.
Yeah, man. I was trying to get out as many live tweets as possible.
You were hammering them out, dude.
I was hammering them out, man.
It was good. You threatened us. You threatened us. You said, I'm going to live tweet the hell out of this. And you did.
I did my part, man. Man, I mean, we work all year on just everything that we do and, all the DFS and recap shows and interviews and transfer portal stuff, man. It all kind of culminates in like this 30-minute window where all the excitement, right, the climax there. So, man, I'm just hyped, man. Obviously we're going to get our brackets done, right? We got the one and done bracket challenge that we're going to be doing. I see some of our OGs have already hopped in there. So if you haven't hopped in there already, please dive in there. Jay, I think we're going to be giving away some merch on this tournament, or what's the deal here?
Yeah, don't look now, but your broskies are getting some one and done merch printed up for the broskies and broskets out there in breadhead land, if you will. Yeah, we're going to give away a one and done t-shirt to the winner, and of course all of the bragging rights that go along with being the one and done invitational championship. I mean, really, and that's what we're doing it for. We do it for the podiums, not the, it's not about that. It's more, it's not about the prizes, although a one and done shirt would be nice. So there is a link. We're going to try to get that link in the live chat here. And if not, we will make sure it's already been tweeted out over there at One and Done CBB. So make sure you get to our Twitter page at One and Done CBB. That's where you go on all the socials to find us. And it'll be mostly Twitter. So get over there and do it. But, hey, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for joining us. The Hall of Famer CC Hustle, the Hall of Famer CC Hustle is pushing the buttons tonight. And he's going to be busy because we got a busy live chat and some familiar faces from back in the day are joining us right now. Ant the Kid. Yo. Ant. Good to see you in there. Dimitri Dash, a name that we haven't seen in a little bit of time. But Mike said it right before we came on live. He goes, man, the Tar Heel fans will be out in full force. Oh, yeah. And he is not wrong. Ryan Schnabel hopping in. Can we talk about how the number one overall seed may have to face Louisville in Lexington? We will. We'll hit on that in a little while for sure. Chalky Talkie, West Virginia fan. West Virginia, Mountain Mama.
Chalky, you didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming.
Definitely the team that I thought got the biggest snub, and I posted that on Twitter. That's why I voted in the one and done poll anyway. Oh, there it was. I saw somebody. Did we get it? Yep, there it is. It's right there in the live chat. Click right there. It's a little Yahoo tournament invite. Get over there and set up your bracket. And we're going to have that, but of course we're going to have a BracketBids thing as well for one and done viewers. So we'll talk about that here shortly. But make sure you get over to right there to our bracket challenge. We want you all to hop in and have a little bit of fun with us. And of course, yeah, who wouldn't want a one and done t-shirt? Tournament starts on your birthday. Happy birthday, Ant. We appreciate you for coming back and hanging out with us here. And Ryan, before we go into it, we're going to talk about these number one seeds, and Florida definitely fits that. Well, actually, why don't we just hop in right now to the one seeds here? A little bit of a first look at the number ones, Mike. Florida was down there, obviously the number 4 overall seed down there, like it's all the way down there or something like that. But why don't we start at the top, man, with Auburn, the number 1 overall seed, a team that maybe looked like it was going to be the number 1 overall seed for a minute, and then it was a little bit more uncertain. Lost about a few games there late in the season, and then now they're still, they're still that team, right? The
Yeah.
team that in bracket bids will probably have the highest bid on it in terms of people thinking that they're going to win. The overall profile, good enough to warrant the number 1 overall seed, 28-5. Number 2 overall strength of schedule. Number 2 in offensive efficiency. Number 12 in defensive efficiency, according to Ken Palm's metrics. And Mike, it's Janai Broom. Who's going to stop him?
Yeah, man. Like it feels like we had the same conversation about when Purdue, last year with Zach Edey. Like, who's going to stop him? Like, you're going to have to stop him. So, good luck in this tournament, right? The team that could stop him, right? That number 2 overall seed, Duke. Now the question marks with Cooper Flagg, man. Now Coach Shire saying that he's going to be ready to go. I'm a little more concerned. Malik Brown. It's in a sling, right? Hurting the arm there. So
shoulder, yeah.
Two injuries there, man. But it looks like Flagg with the ankle is going to be able to come back. They analytically have the best profile, Jay. I mean, they're 31-3. I knock it down a little bit because it's been a down year in the ACC, but they still showed without Flagg they can win the ACC tournament. So I'm not sure what that says about the overall. But Duke's kind of in this weird spot, right? Like I would love to have seen him in the SEC, right? Or the Big 12 or the Big 10, right? Just to see how they would have done. And I'm not trying to knock them because you have a generational player. You got multiple draft picks. They have the senior leadership finally, Zion James. We talked about Malik Brown. Mason Gillis was in the title game last year. So, I mean, top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency. My thing is, man, they just weren't challenged very often. So is that going to come into play? I don't think it will, Jay. I don't know. We'll see, man.
No, that's a good basketball team. I mean, they're going to win some games in this tournament. And there are question marks there. We talked about it on the Thursday show when I was solo dolo hanging out with some of the broskies. And we talked about whether or not Cooper Flagg's injury, if it was bad enough, could cost Duke a number 1 seed. And I said I didn't think that would be the case. I didn't necessarily think that they would run the table and win, and win the ACC tournament without him, especially. So they, that number 1 seed was stamped and earned. But I did learn, talking about West Virginia earlier, that when the chief of whatever it was said, and the co-chief, what are their names? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The 2 guys at the end that are highest up, they were talking, and they said they looked at West Virginia with Tucker Devries, and they did take the injury into account there for West Virginia. So not like it would have mattered in the grand scheme of things for Duke. But it is something that could have been considered, but obviously a well-earned number 2 overall seed. Houston, the number 3 overall seed, easily the toughest draw out of all the number 1 seeds, Mike, specifically with the potential to Gonzaga, an 8 seed. That's a top 10 Ken Palm team, my guy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's going to be a popular upset pick right there.
Yeah, it will be.
Is. I mean,
why not?
It's going to be a large percentage of brackets that look like that. Then you add in an Alabama, Wisconsin, and an Arizona to go with the surging BYU. We talked about BYU being one of the hottest teams in the country the other night as well. St. Mary's is tough. I mean, it's
a bracket, man.
One of these things is not like the other, but St. Mary's is still a tough squad for sure. Houston, we know that's just it's not. At least they're not. You don't have to go to their home floor. At least that's like the one thing you have going in a neutral site tournament here against Houston, because they'll just hold you to 52 at their place. But I mean, they're going to shut you down. You're going to have to try to force them to play your game, Mike. But a well-earned 1 seed for the Cougars. Man, this is just one of those things where how many years in a row is that they've been a 1 seed?
Yeah, I think it's 3.
3 in a row. I was looking through my notes right here. I had to confirm it. 3 years in a row, Mike, as a 1 seed for Houston. That's it's quite a program they got going over there.
Yeah, man, they're doing great. And a program that's on track is the final number 1 seed with what Todd Golden has done there in a very, very short time frame. Florida was on radio this weekend, said they were going to win the SEC tournament. That's like the one thing I did get right, so I'll give myself a pat on the back there. But just an overall great body of work, pound for pound, one of the most talented teams in the country. You just look at their roster, man. They just got so many dudes. They finished on Ken Palm as the number 2 team. 30-4, 14-4 in the SEC, won that SEC tournament. Number 1 offense in the country, number 10 defense. So, yeah, man, I don't see how they don't make the Final Four. That's like, we do like these first looks and like instant reactions. It's kind of like, we're going to give some picks, but then it's more like we want to dive a little bit more into some of these things as the week kind of goes on here. But it's just hard for me to imagine that Florida's just not going to make it to the Final Four, man. So just hitting on some other things here, as far as like a first look at the bracket for the number 2s, Jay, Michigan State feels like they got a pretty easy path. We'll talk about the bracket here in just a second. Tennessee too. Of the number 2s that have the easiest path to get there, I think those are the 2 that can get there. I don't want to say easily, but have the perceived easiest road. And then we got legit 5 to 6 opportunities for upsets. I don't count a 10 beating a 7 an upset. I don't even the 11 sometimes beating the 6. Like, I need the 12s and lower. You know what I mean? Like the 12s, the 13s, the 14s. Like, I think there's a legit chance we could see 5 or so. I thought Michigan and Louisville, I thought were underseeded. Like Louisville, what happened there? Like, Michigan, they great year, right? And then win the Big Ten tournament and you're a 5 seed. So Memphis was definitely overseeded. I thought they were going to be a 7 or an 8. They get a 5. You look at the bids by conference, Jay, which I want to get your take on. The SEC 14, Big 10 down to 8, Big 12 down to 7. The Big East, which they got 3 last year when they were really strong, got 5 this year when they were not as strong this year. Mountain West stuck it out with 4, ACC with 4, and WCC with 2, man.
Do you think the Mountain West deserve 4?
No,
that to me, but that to me is right there. Like, that's the West Virginia bid to me, honestly. Like, I don't know if the Mountain West was good enough. I'm not mad. I'm not necessarily upset that UNC got in, and we'll talk more about that later. But, like, when you look at this and the way that this was broken down, the Big East with 5, and then the Mountain West with 4. Either way, like,
yeah, one of those should have been shaved down.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. The SEC getting 14 in is not something that we necessarily forecasted either. And I said it on Twitter. I said it on the show the other night. I didn't think Texas had done enough to get in. The committee put so much value on the SEC schedule and the wins that happened in that conference and the grind of that conference, because it's not like there was any other place that you would look and point and say, oh, I don't know, that can really push for just as tough of a night in and night out road. No, it's not. It was the SEC here, and then it was everybody else down below them. So you got 14 there. Mike, only 8 in the Big Ten, a conference that we sort of thought might actually hover around double digits. What stood out to you when you're looking at these bids by conference?
Yeah, man, I think I'm with you with the whole where's West Virginia's bid, right? Because the Big 12 we thought all along was going to be 8. I don't think there was any. I don't even think we thought that West Virginia was on the bubble, to be honest with you.
No.
And Colorado State winning ended up being a bid stealer, but like they went ahead and put Boise in anyway. So yeah, kind of an interesting deal there. But yeah, I mean the North Carolina thing, right? Like their net better. I don't know, man. Like I thought the Big Ten probably should have gotten 9, but it's tough, right? Because I thought 5 for the Big East is a little much for me after you gave them 3 the previous year. So
it's not the time for like a makeup call here.
Like
guys.
where's Marquette? Where's who are you scared of out of the Big East? For me, it's St. John's. Like I'm not that terrified about UConn. I don't even think they're gonna make it out of the first round.
A 7 seed Marquette like that, is that gonna rattle your cage? Like,
yeah, when they had a 1, 2, and a 3 last year, and St. John's and Seton Hall were left out. So yeah, I've got a problem with 5 in the Big East, 4 in the Mountain West, and 4 in the ACC because I thought that we should have probably seen 9 in the Big 10 and 8 from the Big 12. So chat, let us know, and I think probably the chat's probably blowing up here, Jay.
Yeah, it's looking great. We could go all the way back up to Darren asking if we need his shirt size already for the Yahoo tournament. Very confident, Darren. And we appreciate that about you. Thanks for all the interactions over on the socials, too. That's our guy, Darren. You can find him hanging out with us over there on social. So make sure you do the same. Auburn losing may have been the best thing for them long term. Well, I mean, probably. Again, like there's a case to be made for something like that. For sure. Izzo's farewell dance, man. I don't know if he wins it all, Mike. Do you think he signs off, or is that the sort of a thing where you could think
there's
you would
a
entertain
path
that?
for them for this to happen too?
There is.
Yeah, he hasn't given any indications like that. Sometimes you can kind of see it coming, but I don't think so, man. He still looks pretty spry out there.
Yeah,
So.
Iowa State in that region has some injuries. Like we'll get to that South Regional later on, but yeah, there is definitely a path for Michigan State for sure. Yeah, man, just gonna have to follow flag
right.
stuff. Yeah, feel like they'll put whatever stem cells or whatever they'll figure it out with him for sure. UNC's quad one record was not impressive for sure.
We're about to talk about these.
Which what Ryan and I kind of agree. Like everybody's going to be shitting on UNC, and they're probably going to go 3 runs deep and surprise us all. But let's follow it up. Let's look at that right there, Minnesota with more quad one wins. West bracket killer. All right, man, keep it up. Hey, let's just keep this stuff going. Chalk will always prevail in the end. Ryan, listen, I'm with you, my friend. I like this. I like to see those chalk names at the end, those big names. We'll definitely see. So, yeah, good stuff. Keep the live chat rolling. This is looking great, y'all. We definitely appreciate you hanging out with us. Let's start to get into a few snubs here on the outside looking in, Mike. The last 4 in, and I assume because Texas and Xavier, 2 teams that I tweeted out, I said those are the two of the biggest sweats of the weekend, I thought, and they both ended up getting in, and now they're playing each other in the first 4 on Wednesday. So Texas and Xavier, San Diego State, and then the actual last team in overall was North Carolina. It was UNC, and the committee let us know that they were the last team in. The first one out was West Virginia, who I don't know how that happened, but here we are. West Virginia out. Indiana, Ohio State, and Boise State. Mike, you texted the group chat. A couple of things happened, and you were like, "Yeah, that's not good for Boise." So you you already knew Boise was a foot and a half out of the door there. Ohio State, a team that didn't exactly pile up the wins overall this year, but still net ranking 41st. Definitely high up there in that, and then Indiana in there as well. So, Mike, what were your thoughts on some of these snubs, and who did you feel like maybe got the biggest cold shoulder of them all?
So, as it was happening, we got kind of a shocker early with the North Carolina. And it was like, oh, like North Carolina's in, and it brought me straight to the point where you were talking about. If North Carolina's in, there's a lot of things that mirror college football, man. It's kind of crazy. Like, so North Carolina gets in, right? And it's like there's zero chance that Texas and Xavier are getting left out. Like, you knew their names were going to show up. So who is that going to hurt? And I meant to say earlier that in the Mountain West, that Colorado State was a bit steal that stole from their own deal here. So Boise State being, one of those first 4 out. So that actually kind of hurt, the Mountain West. But honestly, it's kind of secured them because both teams could have probably been, if one of them doesn't make the final. New Mexico makes the final, right? And maybe Boise State and Colorado State don't get in. So that kind of saved the Mountain West for 4 bids in there. But Indiana, I just don't know that they did enough. Ohio State, just don't know that they did enough. I'm just right there with you, man. As soon as I saw North Carolina in, I knew Texas and Xavier were going to be in. San Diego State, right? Like we kind of thought, it wasn't a lot of chatter because you kind of feel safe, kind of what they've done, over the last couple of years. You feel like that, Brian Dutcher probably going to get the nod there, man. Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, how can you put a team in Indiana that literally is like looking for a new coach because they're not performing up to expectation? So like that's kind of a weird situation.
I've seen people asking like, how can you not put an Indiana team in? Would make the argument to have that. It's like it just screams like a team that's going to show up and score 54 points in the first round and go home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man. The Woodson era was just a mess anyway. So, I guess the only problem I have with it, man, is, and everyone's saying it, man, 1 quad win for North Carolina. I personally would not have put North Carolina or Xavier in if I was on the committee. I would have kept Texas in because he's 7 quad 1 wins. Like, you can't tell me that strength of record and quad 1 opportunity.
Right.
They have 10 quad 1 losses, but you're putting in teams that have 1-11 and a couple of teams that have 2 quad 1 wins. Like, they're in the field. So 7 of them, right? It's like, how can you keep them out? If you kept Texas out, you probably have to keep North Carolina and Xavier out, but they decided to put all three of them in. They just basically said, you know what, we're taking one away from the Big Ten, we're taking one away from the Big 12, and Mountain West can kind of vulture itself. So,
were you surprised that that Oklahoma was seeded higher than Texas, or did that feel about right for you?
No, I think most of the seeding felt pretty good. I thought last year we had more disparity in seeding. I thought just the few that we mentioned earlier were kind of off, man. But Dimitri's in the comments saying, I didn't think North Carolina was going to get left out, and Nate C. Hustle is, we're texting him. I'm like, dude, it's the same thing. They're not gonna. This is also about revenue, and like, why are you going to leave out a blue blood that is right there? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. A team that legitimately, outside of quad one, everything else looks pretty good. Wins against the bubble, like overall profiles or KenPom metrics are way better than all these other teams. Like everything kind of lines up, right? The two knocks are it's the ACC. The other knock was that they were 1-11 in the in quad one, or 1-12 or whatever it was. So yeah, man, I thought for the most part they got it right to a point where, do you want to see North Carolina in a redemption arc, or do you want to see Indiana, or West Virginia has the biggest claim to everything, but they lost to Colorado in the Big 12 tournament, the 16th seed in the Big 12 tournament. So, I mean, I don't know. Put North Carolina and West Virginia on a neutral court. Like North Carolina is probably favored by a couple of points.
So like with the SEC getting 14 teams in, and you have a team like a Texas on that 11 line. Vanderbilt is
like the first
10, like a 10 seed. Oklahoma's a 9. Like I'm asking that because when you're looking for where some of these it just really proves how much emphasis they put on the strength of the SEC this year. 100%. Like it does. And again, if you're in the Big 12, I don't know how the Big 12 got the short end of the stick here. It's down from where they have been. Obviously, Kansas has not been Kansas, but again, like that's not. It just feels like that's 8 bids should have been the case right there for sure. But either way, man, good stuff. This is
just think about Dayton, Jay. How much revenue they're generating with North Carolina, Texas, Xavier, San Diego State. Like these are all like. I mean, come on. Like there's a little bit of that going on too.
San Diego State's been into the Final Four, and then you got North Carolina, and then the brands right there what Ryan says. Ryan knows the deal. Follow the money, and you will find the answer to all of your burning questions. Good stuff there, Mike. Not about the snubs, of course. We're not happy about the snubs, but we're happy that we have a bracket, and we're happy that we have friends over at BracketBids.com. Yes, that's right, BracketBids, the BracketBids app and the BracketBids.com. Look at that. The blue ticker across the screen. I don't know, is that brand new? But no wonder why I didn't get paid this month. We got new graphics right there. BracketBids.com and the BracketBids app, the promo code BREAD to get 40% off of your league activation. And this is not just your normal bracket league like we talked about earlier, the old Yahoo gimmick that we're doing for all the breadheads. No. This is an auction fantasy sports style approach to getting the teams that you want on your side. And then, of course, you can have your Sweet 16 bonus, the lowest seed to make it to the Sweet 16, boom, bonus. Lowest seed to make it to the Elite 8, boom, bonus. You got to take those things into consideration when you're making your bids. Invite the cousin that you don't like, invite your uncle that you only see at Thanksgiving, invite your coworkers that you only talk to at the water cooler, whatever you got to do. You can create your league at BracketBids.com or the BracketBids app. Get them all in, and then when you want to activate it, use the promo code BREAD, 40% off. It's only going to cost you $15 to activate your league and have all the features that you need over there for sure. They're changing the game by bringing a fantasy sports aspect to the greatest tournament in the world. Set up your league for free at BracketBids.com or the BracketBids app. We appreciate our friends at BracketBids. We're going to be putting out our own BracketBids contest. Okay, so if that's something that you would be interested in, reach out to us on the socials at One and Done CBB. Let us know in the live chat here as well. If that's something that you'd be interested in doing, hopping over there in the BracketBids One and Done Invitational, if you will. We're going to be getting that going. So let us know. Give us a shout there. And thank you to our friends at BracketBids. All right, Mike, let's break it down now. It's time to go region by region here. And we're excited for everybody that's hanging out with us to get to chat with us about it in the live chat, to get to chat with us about it, even if you're watching on a replay with your Fruity Pebbles in the morning.
Let us know.
Let us know about it. Let us know what you think. Let us know about the snubs. Let us know if your team's going to make a run. But let's get into the East now, Mike. Duke.
Yep.
Duke.
Pretty good.
They're okay, right?
Yeah.
Going to get to play one of those last four, first four, 16, and they count those on the school's overall tournament record as well.
Yeah.
So American is 1-0 in tournament play. Well, I mean, you beat Mount St. Mary's, so it's okay. It's just, but anyways, Mississippi State and Baylor, definitely a fun one on this side right out of the gate. BYU, one of the hottest teams in the country, a 2.5-point favorite against VCU. Wisconsin, the 3 seed. Alabama should roll over Robert Morris here. St. Mary's and Vanderbilt, that's a game that I'm excited to watch for sure. Vanderbilt, that grind of the SEC, earned a 10 seed for the Commodores. Good for them, man. But St. Mary's had themselves a year too. What are your thoughts initially on the East Regional?
Yeah, just kind of looking at it here, man. Baylor, kind of an interesting spot against Mississippi State here. It's the spread. DK Sportsbook's got this one. That's basically a pick 'em. Actually, Baylor favored as the 9 seed by a point here. And I think Baylor could be an interesting test for Duke, man. We kind of been saying it all year. Whatever 1 seed kind of gets Baylor on their side is kind of it's going to be really annoying, right? You have Norchad. He's played in the Final Four. He's been a great player, tons of experience. Jeremy Roach, has made a ton of big shots for the team that he would play against in Duke. Elite 8, Final Four experience. To me, they're going to be annoying because VJ Edgecombe's a top 5 NBA player, and they got Scott Drew. So, why not Baylor if you're looking at maybe an 8 or a 9 over a 1? That's, we talked about Gonzaga. This is another one that could completely destroy a bracket. Now, they have to get by Mississippi State first, which is, that's not a fun team to play against. That's an absolute grind out type of a game. I don't think, Oregon doesn't have a cakewalk here. Liberty beat Kansas State. They beat McNeese. They like to slow the game down. They like to maximize offensive possessions. This is what Eric the Blue likes. He likes teams that are slow and super efficient, especially with the 3 ball, because those are the types of teams that can upset, the 5s and the 4s out there. So Liberty, 2nd in the country in effective field goal percentage. So, yeah, a team that just wants to play, 60 possessions and they want to shoot it at the high clip. Definitely interesting. VCU, they're loaded. I know the chat was talking about, VCU getting – I actually tweeted out that this is not cool for BYU. This is the opposite of what BYU is. This is a team that is, heavy on the defensive end, but they're really good and experienced in their backcourt. You got Shulga, Bamisil, Jackson. Some of these guys have played at the Power 5 ranks. Jack Clark, he started for an Elite 8 Clemson team last year. He was awesome today in the final in the A10. And the A10, Jay, we didn't give it a ton of love this year. 8th strongest conference according to KenPom. 7 teams inside the top 100. Nobody sub 250. So it's not like you could really take a night off in the A10. So I think they're interesting, especially as a clash of styles between those two teams. And then you just talked about, Vandy and Bama down here at the bottom of the bracket. They do not want to see St. Mary's. Talk about a complete contrast of styles. That's another team that is completely different than what Vandy and Bama want to do. Vandy and Bama want to run up and down, play a ton of players, shoot up a bunch of 3s. St. Mary's wants to, bruise you to death and death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? And they have one of the top point guards in the country, and Augustus Marciulionis. And they have the bigs that can dominate and slow down the game inside with Saxon and Wessels, man. So, yeah, I think this particular bracket, man, is kind of prime. I don't say I would pick anybody outside of a VCU as pulling a major upset in this one. We didn't really talk about Arizona and Akron too. I think Arizona just handles Akron pretty easily. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts on this thing? You see any upsets here? Anything that's maybe on your mind on this side of the bracket?
Yeah, I don't mind St. Mary's path to the Elite 8 here. Vanderbilt is obviously gone through the grinder of the SEC, and I think that maybe that'll be to a detriment here at this point in the season for a team like that. St. Mary's can come out and wear you down too. Alabama in the second round is obviously, that big roadblock, if you will.
Yeah.
But Marciulionis is not afraid to mix it up there and get his teammates involved. And then, like you said, they've got the bigs that can bang around. So I don't mind right now. St. Mary's is the team that I'm looking out of the higher seeded teams in this one, I guess, non-top four that I feel like I'm leaning on picking to make a little bit of a run here in the East Regional. Your point on your Baylor Bears, Mike, as we like to joke around about here. I love picking Duke to not go very far in tournaments, period. Like, it's just clicking the name usually turns my stomach. It's not going to hurt my feelings to click Baylor and then to click it again to beat Duke. It's not going to hurt my feelings to do it. I think it's got to be something that we consider. Darren saying bear down. Yeah, for sure. Let's bear down, Mike. You're Baylor Bears. So, I mean, why not? But listen,
I like it.
But listen, BYU, although they've been playing good, that matchup right there, dude, against VCU, man.
Yeah, man, that's going to be.
BYU is a team that I feel like a lot of people are going to pick to make a run, and that's one that I just don't know. I don't know if I'm as confident to pick them going past a round, just because I don't know. I'm not as sure about that VCU matchup for sure.
That's a tough draw.
I may even pick VCU outright to win that game when it's all said and done. So we'll see how it goes. But
the line's only 2.5.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, for 6-11, that's
that's right
there.
there.
Come down to the final couple of possessions, man.
Yeah, and that's how we love it for sure. Good stuff there. You see all the BracketBids stuff around there. Promo code BREAD. That's the East Regional, as we have broken it down right here on One and Done. Pro Reactor saying VCU doesn't have the size. No, I get it, man, but some experience there that I like. Sometimes this time of year, man, like that's just.
We've never seen small teams win, have we? It happens all the time.
No, I get it. I get the point, man. And if that's a part of your reasoning to not go with VCU in that matchup, I totally understand. But it's a team that I feel like I may have to take a click on, and maybe two. Who knows? Yeah. Why not? Let us know what you think. Let us know who you're picking in the live chat to come out of the East. We sure would love to hear that, and we'll circle back around to some Final Four stuff as well, but not before you make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. I think coming in we were $13.95 maybe.
Yep.
Let's get to 1,400, man. Let's push all those buttons if you haven't already. And if you are in the chat, I know you've pushed the button. We're in subscriber only mode. So why don't you do us a favor? Boop. Push that button and then do yourself a favor and hop in with the liveliest live chat in all the land. Can't wait. Peanut Butter Posse. I can't wait to hear him. Hopefully we get some Kentucky takes earlier from our favorite SEC homer for sure. But why not? Why not, everybody? Now moving on to the West. Napesy Hustle pushing the buttons tonight. We appreciate him. And you mentioned him earlier, Mike. I got Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets. Where is he right now? Is he on a beach somewhere?
Hey, he's at Disney riding rides and stuff. Right?
Disney, attaboy. He's on the teacups right now. And we're bringing you the BracketBids promos and the West region overview. So shout out to our guy, Eric the Blue at Fantasy Nav. As we get to the West right here, bottom right of your bracket, in case you're holding it and reading it along with us as we go along here. And it starts really with the team. This starts here with the team that many folks are saying is among the hottest teams over the last 2 months, especially, and that's Florida. They're number 1 seed in this region. I don't know, man. This is an interesting side here. I think I saw somebody bring it up earlier. The Missouri and Drake, the contrast in styles there. Drake with that just tough defense. Missouri likes to get up and down and run and just really drive the pace of the game. It's going to be that's a really interesting matchup for sure. What are your thoughts initially on the West here? A Kansas team that's a 7 seed that you don't necessarily always think, oh, Kansas is they're in. Oh, I don't want to see them in our bracket. Oh, that's a 7. Going up an Arkansas team again. wow, like there's so many talented teams that are just so high seeded in this tournament. It's going to be hard to stay away from some of these upsets. But anyways, Mike, what are your initial thoughts on the West Regional?
Yeah, man. I mean, the ESPN guys are hyping up the bottom of this bracket as like the Hall of Fame coach, bracket there with Kansas and Arkansas and St. John's. So, but just looking here at the top of the bracket, right? UConn and Oklahoma, I think Florida's going to handle them pretty easily. And I'm sorry, UConn fans, like I don't think it's going to happen against Oklahoma. OU very, very streaky offensively. Like UConn doesn't defend, so if you catch one of those Oklahoma hot streaks, especially with Beers, it could be good night to them early. But even if UConn were able to get past them, like the one thing UConn's done recently is use Terrace Reed a little bit more in the low block. Well, if you don't know, Florida's got like 4 dudes that could start anywhere in the country in the front line. So they're going to be able to throw bodies at them. They have the perimeter defense. They have the offense that I don't know how UConn would be able to stop them. So, yeah, I like Florida's path. I don't think they'll have trouble with either UConn or Oklahoma. Now, looking at the upsets, right? And I say upset, man, but Jay, like Memphis plus 2.5 against the 12 seed Colorado State. So one, that tells me that they were overseeded.
They're way overseeded. Yeah.
Like, 2, people are buying the hype on Colorado State, and obviously they have a stud in Nick Clifford. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know that I can buy this because if we're looking
was he nicked up?
Who? Nick Clifford?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I caught the first half of that game, not the second half there. But here's why I'm buying, and I don't know if this has anything to do with Tyrese Hunter potentially not being available. But even so, you said Dane Danger and PJ Haggerty. He's pretty good at basketball. But here's the deal. Like, look at Colorado State's overall profile. They have some ugly losses. They lost to UC Riverside. I mean, they're not a terrible team. They lost to Washington, bottom of the Big Ten. They lost to a Colorado team that finished 16th in the Big 12. They had to go to overtime to beat Tennessee State, and then they went to overtime against TCU, who wasn't obviously not in the field, right? So I don't know why we're acting like Colorado State should be a favorite here. I don't know. This is kind of one that has me scratching my head, but I think it's more because Memphis is overseeded, and you put the 2 metrics together, it should be a tighter game. I just don't know why they're favored. So also, I see a lot of people Grand Canyon, right? We were excited. This kind of happened last year when we saw some of the draws, and we were like, oh, man, like we don't want to see this draw for a team that we thought could bust some brackets. Well, they did it last year against Alabama, or in the first round against St. Mary's, almost beat Alabama in the second round. Well, they get Maryland, and Maryland's a team that from the 4 seed could win it all. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at their talent on Grand Canyon, they still have TGF, Grant Foster there, Jacoby Coles, the TCU transfer, Loke Ward, the Oregon transfer from a few years ago. Duke Brennan's an awesome player. Ray Harrison's been there forever and been an all-league player. So, like, they have the talent to play with these guys. I just don't know if it's as popular as it should be. Drake's going to be a popular pick, last in the country in tempo. They're going to slow the game down. They're tough defensively. So Missouri's going to have some problems. I'm not that high on Missouri this year anyway. And then Kansas and Arkansas, what a fun matchup that is. 2 teams that, have the talent to give St. John's some fits. How often do you see a preseason number 1 in the 7 seed? So, like, how often do you get John Calipari, in a second round matchup as a 2 seed, So it's kind of one of those deals, man. Any thoughts on this West region here?
Drake, number 1 scoring defense in the country. Missouri, number 5 offensive efficiency in the country. Like, this is going to be a matchup that I'm really interested in seeing for sure. I am not buying the Grand Canyon hype. Not the hype that they're not playing good basketball, but the hype that they're just going to walk in and handle Maryland. This isn't.
Yeah,
that's a good Maryland team for sure. So, I don't know, man. I like Florida a lot. It's tough for me to just
what do you think about Florida St. John's?
Dan Hurley off like that as an 8 seed. I get it, but that the whole time they're going to be like, no, they don't even think you can beat Oklahoma, much less Florida, and blah blah blah. Man, you know how much He's going to be getting into
Oh,
that. He's
yeah,
going to
for
be
sure.
hyping that up. Florida's so good, though. Like, it's going to be so hard to keep them out of the Final Four on my bracket. But again, like St. John's, who's playing better than St. John's right now?
Not a lot of teams, but Johnny K's here, man. You talk
He
about St.
is.
John's there.
He
Markel
is.
Sutton, he's a good player, but they don't have the horses to handle everybody else. St. John's defense is great. Like, they're so good defensively.
Remember when Rick Pitino coached at Iona just for fun? Like, just to, he
For
didn't have
the
to be
game.
coaching. Just
he was in like Greece too, I think, before that.
remember he was just coaching, just hanging out at Iona.
Yeah.
Take him to a tournament.
With with Walter Clayton and Nelly Jr. Joseph. Like, where do you Walter Clayton is a first team all SEC player. Where did he find him at Iona? Like,
I don't question the man for sure. Not one bit. Good stuff there. The West Regional, man, the live chat is rolling. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know. Are we high on Missouri, Mike? Like Ryan saying we're not necessarily high on Missouri here, but I think that that's a good team.
That Drake team is so good.
This is a matchup again. Like that should be a really, really good basketball game. And then, it's probably another team that nobody wanted to see in their region after that one, and it's Texas Tech. So who knows how the West region will go. Let us know what you think in the live chat, who's going to come out of the West. We definitely want to hear from you, the one and done universe, all the breadheads out there. Flash it. Yeah, you should be. Johnny, I get it. I would be concerned about Texas Tech too. That is a game. But don't overlook that second round.
Yeah,
you can't overlook either one. You can look Kansas or Arkansas here. Like, this is not.
You got a lot of good coaches in this region. Like,
yeah,
like a lot of good coaches in this region.
Yeah, love it. Good stuff. Like and subscribe, notification bells for sure, because we'll be going live later this week with some DFS stuff, and you're not going to want to miss out on all that opportunity to get this bread. Mike's going to be bringing you all that info. What'd you say, 25K to first?
Yeah.
Coming up here. They already have pricing out.
Yeah.
Already have pricing out. That's good stuff. Darren says Missouri has to show him something. Show me something. Is that a state nickname joke, Darren? Is this shit? Look, I didn't know that was going to be this type of intellectual show tonight, but congratulations on working that in, my friend.
Ryan, our resident Missouri fan.
Yeah. That's okay, man.
Ryan, I got to know, were you excited when you saw Drake flash across the screen? Let me know.
How was that? How'd that work out for you? Was it like you were sitting on the couch and you saw, yeah, Missouri,
doing the trick.
We're in there, and that's Drake, and it's like,
yeah.
Yep. Let us know what you thought. All right, good stuff there in the West. Like and subscribe buttons. That is super cool if you would do all those things as we move to the South region now. Right across here, that's the Midwest. We go up to the upper left corner here of the old bracket. Here's Auburn coming in to play here. And another one of those matchups where you're like, Louisville's an 8, Creighton's a 9. We're going to get Auburn versus one of those teams here in the second round. I like that for sure. Michigan and UC San Diego, a 5 seed after winning the Big Ten tournament. I wasn't necessarily expecting that one at all. And the draw that they got too in UC San Diego, not only do you get stiffed on your seed, but then UC San Diego is your 12 seed. Yeah, yikes. Texas A&M, they're a team that I've seen, Mike, a lot of people piling on early when you talk about the big matchups. Like Yale's been a popular pick early on in a lot of people's brackets to get out of there, but that's a really good Texas A&M team that has some really quality wins under their belt this season. And now, of course, the line that ruffled a lot of feathers here, not necessarily the Ole Miss on a 6 seed, but the San Diego State and North Carolina 11 versus 11 first 4 matchup in this region. Iowa State, a banged up Iowa State there, Mike, on the 3 line. It's leaving a lot of things open for Izzo to just walk right up that side of the bracket here. You have to beat Bryant and then the winner of Marquette and New Mexico to do so. What are your initial thoughts on the South here, man? Like, I feel like I know Auburn is that number one overall seed, and Darren saying like Auburn, okay, maybe we move on, right?
No.
It's not the case though. I don't think. I think this is a wide open region.
No. Yes.
And one that is going to be probably the toughest to pick the winner out of to the Final Four, in my opinion.
Me and you are on the exact. This is the most fun region. Look at all of these matchups, including the first four. Look at all these matchups. This is insane, man. Like Louisville and Creighton. Louisville completely underseeded as an 8. Creighton, right, just took the Johnnies to the finals 6-7 minutes, right? Top 3 team in the Big East. Like one of those teams advances, Auburn's it's no cakewalk on that 8-9, man. That's insane. Louisville and Creighton, I just think that's gonna be a fun game. And it's the clash of styles, man. Like Creighton runs this drop coverage where Kalkbrenner they go under every screen, they're gonna let you shoot threes. I don't know if that's gonna work because Louisville, even though they're not like this like high effective team from 3, they shoot a ton of them. They're top 20 in 3-point rate. So drop coverage against a team against top 20 in 3-point rate, like there's going to be some bombs being, chucked up. So tons of experience on this floor. I'm excited about this matchup. And then America's got to get ready to meet Enwaniwa Tate Jones, man, from UC San Diego. This team is so good. 57th in offensive efficiency, 30th in defensive efficiency. I do worry about their non-con. They're going to get a lot of steam going into this matchup. It's 2.5. Michigan's favored by 2.5 against UC San Diego. I do worry that they only played the 231st, strength of schedule in the non-conference, but like Michigan better get ready quick. How many times do we see a team like an Auburn last year when the SEC tournament turn around and get beat by Yale in the first round? Like it happens all the time. Somebody gets bounced in the first round of their tournament, and there's been some talk that like sometimes you want to get knocked out early, so that way you have something to kind of coach up as you go into. I don't know how that works either way, right? I think it's more just anything happens in these tournaments, man. I don't know that they're gonna be able to stop Wolf and Golden though, man. Like they looked good, and they were plus 1,200 out of the 3 seed to win the Big Ten tournament. Like they're clicking on all cylinders, but this is not a great matchup in UC San Diego. They had a ton of talent. Lots of people, like you mentioned, Jay, taking the Aggies for an L. I think that's because we know that Yale pulled the shocker last year. They lost Wolf and Noling, but they still have Pulakaitis and Imbing. So, I don't know, man. Like they challenged Purdue earlier this year. I think he won some money on that slate, Jay. Challenged Minnesota, but they lost both of those games. And the Aggies are like one of those teams that can either make the Final Four or they'll get bounced in the first round. Just a wide range of outcomes, like in Arizona for me. The San Diego State, North Carolina game is just going to be absolutely epic. So much fun for our first four. And then Marquette, New Mexico, I tweeted this out. Like, I'm so excited to watch this game. You're going to get Donovan Dent against Cam Jones. Like, this is going to be epic. I just think Nelly Jr. Joseph, man, like his matchup against this weak Marquette front court is kind of going to be the key in that game. But, dude, this is an awesome bracket. I am so excited about this bracket. The committee gave us everything in this one, man.
I'm not as sold that Yale is going to be that first round upset that I'm picking. I get it, but that's a really good defensive team in Texas A&M. I mean, that's a good team. So I get it. We want to find those big upsets, right? In terms of looking at what's the 13? What's the most likely top 4 seed to go down? And like, it's really easy to circle Yale there. I don't know, man. And to your question, Darren, do A&M Yale leaders travel to playoff games? I'm not familiar if they take the milkmen with them or not. But I'm sure that they have a Yale practice beforehand to learn what to do and how to do it and all that stuff. Yeah, for sure. Darren saying, Baker Mazzaro's old enough to be some of these kids' father. He's definitely older than Bill Belichick's girlfriend. I know that much. And that's not going to stop him from playing some good basketball in this tournament for sure. Johnny K saying a much better job by the committee this year compared to last. Mike, before we move on to the Midwest region, do you tend to agree so far on the whole with Johnny's take that the committee did a better job this year?
Yeah, I got everything in this bracket, man. Everything that I wanted, man. Like we have some brackets too. Like we just talked about the West, where you have clash of styles, right? Like I love to see those, right? You love to see a Missouri and a Drake, like just two complete. That's the thing you don't get in the NBA. Everybody plays the same in the NBA. Like that's what makes college basketball so cool, is that you have teams that just employ, is it a Boeheim 2-3 zone that can win it all? Do you have a collection of guys, the junkyard dogs, that can take you to an Elite Eight that nobody knows about? Can you have one guy, like an Edie or a DJ Burns lead you to a Final Four? Like, there's just so many different ways to do it, man. But as far as matchups are concerned, I think the committee did a lot better job this year, and they're more fun because, like, how much more fun is it seeing North Carolina and San Diego State in a first four, right? Like, I think that has part of the appeal to it, is they took Xavier, Texas, and North Carolina, which creates more appeal because talent-wise, like those teams, they might not have had the seasons that deserve to get in, but they have the talent that wouldn't be shocked if we saw North Carolina, beating Ole Miss. It would not shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me if Texas beat Illinois. Like, so yeah, I think that's what makes it the most fun, is they were willing to kind of just make the move, man.
This is a television product, after all. We have to remember that. Like this, they're wanting to get eyes on this, and sometimes that matters over anything. Johnny, people are a little bit upset about UNC, and I really don't care. Like, I get it, unless you're a West Virginia fan, and you've got that beef because you were the last one out. Then I'm totally understanding of your feelings in this moment. However,
the committee took the out with DeVries being out. Yeah,
exactly. And that's but are they setting a precedent here? Now, he literally mentioned DeVries' injury and player availability was the exact phrase. Player availability mattering in this instance. And that's something that they're going to, hopefully people will follow back on and say, hey, you said this last year. And then they say, well, things change up when you never know. It's fluid. Whatever, dude. Whatever excuse to get in UNC for this moment, right? Cam, not upset about UNC. Are you sure?
Darren.
Longhorn Network, man, is that still that's not still a thing anymore, is it?
If there's any Aggies watching, they hate that.
That went away. Well, that was the reason. If you don't know, that's the reason that A&M ran away from Texas the first time, was the Longhorn Network. And then what do you know? We show back up, and the Longhorns show back up. See, you bringing it out of me, Mike. We're talking about it. I can't help it. I
do agree. Before we move on to the last region, Jay, about Ryan talking about, you got to be smart about upsets. Like, you got to be like, there are going to be some, but we don't need to. Because at the end, Jay, like you always say, dude, at the end, we're going to see, right? We're going to see the teams. Like every now and then we'll get something random, right, in the Final Four. But for the most part, we're going to get the 1s to the 3s. Every now and then we'll get a 5 or 6 or 7 or an 8 slide in there. But yeah, for the most part.
Why not punish Duke, Darren? Because they won the ACC tournament without the best player in the country. They still won the tournament.
Yeah.
Like, and they're that deep. That's why I feel like they don't punish them. But I get it. We talked about that at the start of the show. Like, I get it, man. If that's something that, if it matters, then they must have at least addressed it with Duke. Boise fans, yep. If you're a Boise State supporter, let us know how you're feeling about UNC. But again, it's UNC. Who's going to tune in to watch Boise State? And who's going to tune in to watch UNC in a Wednesday night first four matchup, or their Tuesday, I guess. But either way, like, let's be real. This is a television product, and they're not that you can't have beef.
Yeah, 100%.
But, where is that? Where is the first four? Is that a TBS, TNT, something? We'll look that up.
Yeah, I think it's on one of those.
It's not True TV, is it? Like
I think it's TNT.
Okay, all right, probably one of those Turner networks. Make sure you get over there for all that stuff. I like the blue turf too, Johnny. Smurf turf. Who doesn't like some Smurf turf? All right, good stuff there. That's the South region. Make sure you hit all those buttons, like and subscribe. Where are we on our subs? Are we at 18 fulfillion, 11 gazillion yet? I don't know. We're probably on the way up now, but make sure you hit all those buttons. We need to get to 1,400 here. A real quick like, and you can help us do it. So push the buttons. If this is the first time you're hanging out with us, thank you. This is One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos. We are welcoming of everybody. We want you to hang out with the liveliest live chat in all of college basketball. So hit that subscribe button so you can do that, and you can hang out with our friends Darren and Johnny and C Thuggin and Ryan. Everybody hopping in there tonight. Good stuff. Good stuff. Waiting on Peanut Butter Posse to show up. If you say his name enough times.
3 times in the mirror.
Yeah, if you say Peanut Butter Posse, Peanut Butter Posse, Peanut Butter Posse, he'll show up. And I just doomed us all. We'll see. Midwest region, Mike. Let's get to it before we make maybe talk about a few upsets that we actually like, and then some Final Four picks as well. But first, let's get to the Midwest region. Houston being the 1 seed down here, 3 years in a row for the Cougars, achieving that 1 seed. That's quite an accomplishment, and they are the king of the mountain in the Big 12. They have established themselves after coming into the new conference, and they're the top dogs. It is what it is. They are the standard right now for that conference, for sure. And they're 30-point favorites against SIU Edwardsville. So good luck with that. Good luck scoring 50 SIUE. Enjoy the bus ride back. What we really want to talk about, though, is that second round matchup potential with Gonzaga and Georgia in the wings to face Houston. My God, either one of those teams, even though I have a feeling that we feel the same way about who will win that 8-9 matchup. But Houston against Gonzaga or Georgia, most likely. The 5-12 in this one, Clemson and McNeese. Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like 65% of brackets are going to pick McNeese.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like a large number will also pick High Point. There's going to be a lot of 12-13 matchups on people's brackets coming out of the Midwest here. It's not like Purdue is chopped liver, though, for sure. And then here we go. The other first 4 matchup for Power Conference teams, Texas and Xavier on that 11 line, fighting for the honor of playing Illinois in the actual first round of the tournament. And here we go, Peanut Butter Posse's team. If he's going to show up at any time, it's now, as we talk about Kentucky and Troy, a team that they should handle pretty easily there. Big Blue Nation shouldn't have anything to worry about there. Just sort of looking ahead to maybe what's next. Tennessee, though, a team with a pretty nice path from a seeding perspective here on this side, at least. I think what they do with their style, what they bring to the table sets up really nicely. And then a showdown with Houston in the Elite Eight, if it gets to that, this is a region. There we go. I spit it out. This is a region, Mike, where styles will dictate these games, and we should see a ton of fun ones in this one as well.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it right off the bat, man. Like, if we get Gonzaga Houston in the second round, wow! Like, how you don't see those matchups in the second round between 2 teams in the top 10 of KenPom.
Like, number 9 in KenPom is Gonzaga. If you don't, basically have spend half of your life on KenPom like we do on this show, there's nothing wrong with that. If you do, we love us some KenPom. If you don't know that Gonzaga is a top 10 rated team in KenPom, we wanted to make sure that we made that extra clear because they're an 8 seed.
Yeah. Wild, man. What a weird year for them, too. They're not quite the same team because they inserted Braden Huff. And I don't know if that's going to continue. But, man, he is so good. But I don't think they're going to really have problems with Georgia. Georgia lives on, like, turning you over and getting easy baskets. But Gonzaga has Brian Nimhart. He doesn't turn the ball over.
Right.
And he has the ball in his hands all the time. So, yeah, I think, man, maybe it's just wishful, right? I don't think Gonzaga. I mean, they're favored by 6.5 over Georgia. That line's going to be even. Houston, I'd imagine, probably a 4 to 5 point favorite if they were to face Gonzaga. So, yeah, not a great draw for Houston, man. But, yeah, I would love to see that matchup. I think, Mark Few, obviously trying to get over that final hump, but what a path they would have to go through as an 8, man. Like, you've got to potentially beat, a bunch of 1s and 2s on your way to the ship here. So a tough spot there for Gonzaga. The 12 and 13 here, man, McNeese and High Point. We got to talk about these guys real quick. When the brackets pulled up, I did not love, and I think I tweeted out that I did not love this for McNeese. Last year we were hyped up, and Gonzaga just threw the ball into Graham Ike, and he absolutely destroyed them. They're not a big team. They're very guard-oriented. Well, guess what? Clemson has this guy, Chase Hunter. He's pretty good at basketball. And then they have these two bigs, Locken and Shefflin. And they're really, really good. They're, the three double bigs that are out there, right? It's like Locken, Shefflin. You got Queen and Reese over at Maryland. You got Wolf and Golden. And then to a certain extent, right, you have Flag and Malwatch for Duke. Like those front courts are just insane from the 4-5 spots. So I don't love it for McNeese. I probably will not be picking them, although I do think it's interesting. The line's only 7.5 right now. I'm actually picking High Point over Purdue here. I just think that this is a spot, man. Like, with High Point is a wild card. They're great offensively. They haven't had a quad one game, Jay, in the last 2 years. So we don't know what they are. And that's pretty scary, right? Like, from both perspectives, if you're betting them as an upset pick, you're like, these guys could get hammered by 25. Braden Smith could absolutely shred them to death, right? Or they could, be as efficient as they are against a team that I had question marks past Braden Smith and TKR. What else is there for this Purdue team? I am not very high on them this year. The line is coming out at 9.5. So, you're actually getting a better spread with McNeese over Clemson than you are High Point over Purdue. But those 12-13s are going to be pretty popular. I'm more on the High Point side just because the X factor of we don't know exactly what they are. Illinois in a prime spot to be picked off by either Texas or Xavier here. I mean, that sucks for Illinois, right? Like you're basically getting two teams that have just been completely soured on over the line. And look what Texas just did. They just beat Texas A&M. They just beat Vanderbilt in the first round. They got 7 quad one victories. You're telling me Illinois wants a piece of Texas, right? Who at least you fall flat on their face, but they could easily. You could see Texas or Xavier in a round of 32 or a Sweet 16. It would not shock you to see that. You mentioned Kentucky handling Troy, Jay. I'll disagree a little bit. I don't think it's a cakewalk, and just because Troy's really good defensively, played in a very tough Sun Belt. But the problem is you have to outscore Kentucky because they're so good offensively. But Troy is one of the worst teams in the country in turnover percentage, so I don't love that coming into the tournament. And they're also bottom 25 in three-point shooting. You have to, you're not going to stop Kentucky on every possession. You have to outshoot them. And you have to be able to score the ball. So don't love Troy here. But I think it'll be a little bit close, probably a close first half. And then Kentucky opens it up through Amari Williams in the second half. And then UCLA is going to have a hard time with Utah State. That's a good Utah State team. I think the line was sitting at 4. Yeah, I would take the points right there. And even Utah State, maybe even straight up. But I see this more of a pick 'em, a 7-10, right? I don't see that as a huge upset, Jay.
I saw Troy a couple of times play against Texas State in some Sun Belt action.
You got the inside scoop there.
I don't think in terms of what Kentucky brings to the table with the way that they're gonna score the bucket. I don't know that Troy is necessarily going to outscore Kentucky, and that's a problem. That's a big problem for me is Troy keeping up with how efficient Kentucky is going to. Now, if Kentucky all of us, if this is with any team though, if Kentucky comes out cold and, then okay, and they got to try to play from behind. I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm not as concerned with that matchup there. I don't know, man. Is McNeese that team? It's such a popular, it's such a cool pick.
It is, both of those.
This is another one where, we had another 12-13 or whatever sort of a second round that we did, which
I think it was was it the East?
Was it in the East one? What did we have in that?
No, it was West with Colorado State and Grand Canyon.
All right, so the Colorado State and Grand Canyon 12-13 there, right? And it's the same thing on this side. And it's just
don't you feel more confident in GCU and Colorado State based on talent and non-con versus McNeese beating up everybody in the Southland and High Point and having not played a quad one game in 2 years?
So that's the point, right? Is you take the teams in this sort of an instance where you've at least seen it before, right? I think Purdue's a good team, and I get not being super high on them and maybe thinking, oh, this is the team that I could see just making a deep run. But I don't see it. I'm not on High Point on this side. I'm in on Purdue on this one as well. And as much as I think that Will Wade is going to make a great coach at his next stop. I don't think they beat Clemson. So I'm on this side of the bracket. I think I'm going a little bit more chalk in the Midwest, at least. I totally get it. Like, again, it's the great unknown, and that's what makes March so great, is until you see it, you don't know. And I'm just this year, I think there's going to be quite a few more picks where I err on the side of being a little bit less just out there a ton. Although I say that now on Sunday, and by the time I get to the bracket, I'm sure I'm gonna have some stuff mixed up in there. But I don't know, man. I'm not feeling those upsets in the Midwest. Maybe like some other people are. I get it, but I'm not feeling them nearly as much. So the live chat. Johnny, I don't know if that's very nice. High Point could maybe win an NIT game. I feel like they could. Again, like, this is not saying that I'm picking Purdue in that game is not necessarily a knock on High Point. But yeah, man, that's just it's tough for me because I do feel stronger about the other side of that. I do feel stronger about a Colorado State beating an overseeded Memphis team, a team that again hasn't really been challenged a ton in Memphis. And then I don't know, man. I said it. I said I'm more on Maryland than Grand Canyon. So I feel like right now I'm not looking at as many upsets in that 5-12 line as maybe some people might be. I'm just not as comfortable picking those higher seats right now. Or lower seats, I should say, lower seats.
Before we get to our last couple of picks section, the thing here with the committee is I wish McNeese of all you had the 2 5s that have the double bigs, which is terrible for McNeese. You have Clemson, and then another 5 with Michigan. Like, that's not great for McNeese. I wish McNeese was playing Memphis. Like, I know they have Dane Danger and Musa Cisse, but Memphis likes to run up and down the floor. Like, I know Danger's been on a different planet, but it just almost seems like there was not a path at a 12. Now, if you put McNeese at a 13 against Purdue, I know TKR can be challenging, but they don't have 2 of them, right? You don't have a Lockett and a Shefflin. You don't have a Golden and a Wolf, right? You just really have to deal with TKR. So, kind of one of those things, right? The matchups aren't quite there. Double big. It seems like the 5 line was like, let's put all the double big teams, the 4 and the 5 line. Like, let's put the teams that are matchup nightmares for these mids. Let's put Maryland in there. The thing with Grand Canyon is they have size. They have Jacoby Coles and Brennan who can. It's whether or not Zion Grant Foster wants to go, nuclear like he did last year. And so that's gonna be the big one on that one.
I say I'm going to go a little bit more conservative, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not picking Duke to come out of that region. So,
well, I think where you get a little bit crazy is those 8s and 9s are
right. Yeah. And that's where some of this is going to get interesting. And I know we're going to get a few picks in here, Mike. But before we do that, let's make sure we tell everybody to hit the like and subscribe button. Show your broskies in basketball some love. Push the buttons. Notification bells too, because we're going to be dropping a bunch of content this week. We're going to be doing some DFS stuff. We're going to be doing some recap stuff. And after all this is over, we do portal stuff. We do coach interviews. We're looking for beat reporters to talk to in the off season. So we're doing this 365. And as you can see, the liveliest live chat in all the land. We got some fun people in the one and done universe, in the broskies and broskets. We definitely appreciate everybody for doing that. I should say. Let's go back up into the live chat a little bit. Darren talking about what he would give for a Terry versus Barnes Sweet 16. Just wish Ole Miss was in the Illinois spot. Yeah, you can't write every single story, right, Mike? Like we would love to go down narrative street a lot here if we could. Like basically, if we could just make a path for every one of those narratives, then why not? But yeah, let's see what else do we got here, Mike.
Yeah, Cam saying drop coverage against Braden Smith. Probably not the safest thing to do.
Well, and again, like you said, Mike, it's not just, you can't just look at a numbers. If McNeese comes down and they're playing their style against Purdue, or a High Point comes out and plays Clemson, and does that make a difference? And like all of that does matter. And again, I'm not on this particular region. I'm just not on these upsets like a lot of people are. I'm just not feeling it. But again, the styles matter in March. Styles matter.
Yeah, I just don't know. Nobody knows what High Point is. Like, we don't until we're going to find out who High Point is, because we don't know who they are against better competition. So here we go. Owen
Like and
Freeman
subscribe
portal season.
buttons. Like and subscribe buttons. Owen Freeman portal season. Hey,
I heard he got a $1.5 million deal. Rumor has it that he's already going somewhere else. So it was done behind and apparently there's a Brock Harding story too, the guard there from Iowa. That
that's
you guys.
We were joking around in the text thread how he basically that's like scorched earth in Iowa. Like they're gonna have to just start from scratch. They're gonna be a exodus. And then I said, movement of Ja people. Oh yeah, exodus. Anyways, I had to fit it in. Hadn't sung enough in this show. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. It's time to get to Mike's upset picks. I might throw a couple in there as well. But Mike, I'm interested to see what your thoughts were initially. If you're a little bit higher on some of these 12 and 13 seeds than I am, if you're sort of feeling the same way, like what are some of those initial upsets that jump off the board for you?
Yeah, man, we've been talking about it, High Point over Purdue, just because of the fact that we just don't know. I'm not as high on Purdue. I know they have the best point guard in the country. But High Point's offense looks for real. I just don't know if it's going to carry to a opponent that is obviously one of the better teams in the country. So I am confident though, just kind of based on what I've seen. I've actually watched a couple of High Point games this year. They've got some guys that played in Power 5, on Power 5 schools. So they're not going to be shocked by it, which is, what I worry about sometimes. I think UC San Diego still over this Michigan double big. I just think, man, they're able to get it done on both ends of the floor. And when you have a Swiss Army knife like Tate Jones, man, it's just a really good player. And sometimes it takes a Wally Zerbiak or a John Morant or, I'm not saying he's this elite NBA but you get some of these guys that I forget the kid that was playing for Loyola a few years ago that we were all, you get these guys and they just become stars overnight. The kid Golke from Oakland, you know what I'm saying? It just takes one guy like this to pull an upset. So UC San Diego for Michigan. I think everybody's on the Drake Missouri deal. Drake's just slow. They're efficient, well coached. They play together. I don't love Missouri. I know their offense is great, but what happens when they can't get buckets? That's going to be a problem against Drake. I do find Grand Canyon, Maryland interesting. Yale over A&M. You can maybe talk me into it later in the week. But I'm with you. I think more of the shock value is going to come from the 8s or the 7s. I'm not saying all the 8s or whatever. I wonder 1-8 is probably going to pick off a 1 seed for sure. So you got any picks here, Jay, that you want to throw out there for the people? At least an early reaction to the brackets here.
Look here. This is the team that I called for their coach to be in the coach of the year conversation right before they lost 4 in a row midseason. A team that at times has been hotter than anybody else in the country. I think Iowa State is on upset alert. I think they should be. I think when you're looking at the injuries that are going on, they're not healthy right now. Keyshawn Gilbert out for the year, like you said. You got Lipsy, he's got that groin that might nag him and further lean into the tournament. Momcilovic has been banged up a little bit. This I don't know, dude. This is a tough. It's not the kind of stuff you want to be getting in this time of the year when the bracket's coming out. And as a 3 seed, I love Iowa State. I love their style of play. I love their coach. That to me, if I'm picking a 14 right now to beat a 3, I'm gonna go Lipscomb. And listen, it's not like their metrics are just at the bottom of the board here. Their top 100 in offense and defense are Lipscomb, according to KenPom. And again, they're not going to get up. They're under 250 in tempo is Lipscomb. And then, Iowa State is 100. So they're going to try to get up and down a little bit. If Lipscomb can sort of just clog it up, right, make it their game, dictate that style. Like I said, styles matter in March. And if Lipscomb can clog it up and make it difficult on Iowa State to get going, that's a team right now that I'm looking at maybe circling on the 14 line. Again, other than that, I'm not picking Yale over Texas A&M. I am definitely going to have to consider how many 8s are gonna, am I gonna have going past the second round? Because I look at Louisville and Auburn as a matchup. I know Auburn's Auburn, but I look at Louisville and Auburn as a matchup that I've got to consider. As much as we talk about UConn not being the same team, if UConn finds a way to get past Oklahoma and they match up against Florida in the second round, Gonzaga and Houston is the one that most is appealing to me. The Zags have to get by Georgia, obviously, but that's one that definitely sticks out. And then again, Duke and Baylor. I think Baylor's going to win that game.
Yeah, man.
Against Mississippi State. Like, you can legitimately make an argument to not have any 1 seeds in your Final Four, unlike Jay Williams, and we talked about it before the show, and then somebody brought it up in the live chat as well, having all 1s and 2s. Like, that's not – I don't think that that's necessarily going to be what my bracket looks like. I promise you that. So I'm not – like, I talked about being a little bit more conservative with my picks earlier. Not that conservative. And maybe it was just that one region anyway, Mike. But, yeah, dude, that's where I'm saying. I don't have any ton other big upsets that I just like a ton right now that are jumping off the page. But if I had to pick – Iowa State is a 3 seed. At least if I had to pick a top 4 seed that I would think would lose in the first round, Iowa State is my team right now. That could maybe take a bit of a dive. All right, good stuff there. Upset alerts in the books here. What do you think about? You think Will Pruitt bring those Lipscomb guys to victory, Mike? Are you feeling me on this at all or no?
I'll push back a little bit, but he's a good guard, and Jay Bogdanovic is, averaged 20 and 10 basically on the year. So they have talent. They played Arkansas this year. They did not look great, but hey, man, like, this is March. Like, something's happening, right?
Hey, you know how much those injuries and stuff can take away from the chemistry in the locker room and momentum, and that's a good player. Like, this isn't just some Joe Schmo that is going to be missing. Like, that's one of your guys. So, something to consider for sure. Has there ever been a Final Four without a 1? Yeah, Ryan, I'm sure there has been. I imagine. Probably pretty recently. We'll get our crack research team to get on that and maybe get back.
Yeah, I think it's only happened once, if not twice.
Pretty recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was here it is right here. 2022. Kentucky was a 4 seed, Butler was an 8 seed. BC was an 11, and so it happened in 85 as well and in 2006, 3 times.
There you go. 3 times. All right. Hey, Darren, just so you know, before we move on to the Final Four stuff, it is not written in Sharpie. This will be professionally
I've seen our shirts before.
Yeah, we've got a few shirts that we rotate through here on rotation with the one and done logo on the front. That's what it'll look like. So make sure you get to the Yahoo one and done bracket invitational. The link for that should be in the live chat here at towards the beginning of the show there. And we'll get over to at one and done CVB as well on the socials over on Twitter. We tweeted that out as well. So make sure that you do that. Hop in there. You can win yourself a one and done t-shirt if you win, plus bragging rights for the whole year. Hello. Who wouldn't want that? Be that breadhead that wears it with pride, Hey, and also speaking of breadheads, if you're going to be in town in San Antonio for the Final Four, make sure you reach out to us. We're going to figure something out. We're going to be getting together with all the hoop heads. We want to meet up with you. So if you're going to be in San Antonio Final Four weekend, whether you're going to the games, whether you're just going to be in town, let us know, man. We'd love to hang out with you and catch up with the breadheads. So yeah, definitely, man. Final Four teams, Mike. I'm going to put you on the spot here. I don't know if you've had any time to lock in your bracket here. I know I have not, but there are a few teams that I'm considering over others for sure. What are some teams that you're looking at from a Final Four perspective that you might, I don't want to even say leaning towards, but that you think can make a nice run?
Yeah, I mean, so Florida, I'm picking them to win it all. I think they have too much. They have everything I look for. They can win any type of game environment. So Florida's going to be my pick to win it all. I think if Cooper Flagg is healthy, like I know we talked about all the ones having troubles and then maybe even in the second round, but if Cooper Flagg is healthy, like he's just so damn good that they're really good without him. And people forget, like if you take away Cooper Flagg, like you still have littered with 5 stars, like Tyrese Proctor. How often do you have a guy that's stuck 6th round for 3 years, right? Mally Watch, another top 10 5-star. Colin Knippel, he's pretty good. He's a 5-star, going to be a lottery pick. Like they have it. So they just have everything, and they have veteran leadership, man. So Duke is going to be, Cooper Plaque's healthy. I gotta have them going a long way. Tennessee, I think, has one of the easiest paths to get there. I think they get the job done. And then this South region, man, I want to pick Auburn and be chalky, but I think that there's legit like 7 teams that could come out of this region for the Final Four. Like it wouldn't like. I mean, you got Louisville, Creighton, Michigan, Texas A&M, Iowa State, Marquette, Michigan State, North Carolina, like just a ton of talent in the South, man. So, I think Auburn, right, is having, and you got to stop Janai Broome, which is kind of what you mentioned earlier, Jay. There's a lot of teams that are kind of built in different ways to beat you. I mean, look at all the bigs in this. I mean, you got Kalkbrenner in there, you got Golden and Wolf, you got the junkyards at Texas A&M who are number 1 in offensive rebounding percentage. Like, you just have a ton of bigs that you have to go through in this thing, man. That's not even talking about Nelly Jr. Joseph and the Michigan State bigs who don't get any credit because all they do is they just do their work. Like Jackson Kohler just does his work and moves on, doesn't get any credit for anything. So, yeah, man, it's hard for me to pick anybody at South. If you told me like you got to put $100 on it, like right this moment, it's just hard for me to go against what the metrics say about Duke and Auburn. So Auburn out of the South, but that is so wide open, like we talked about.
Well, I would call you boring, but I'll just call you smart instead. I mean, because those basketball teams are just that good. That's not what my bracket's going to look like. I have a feeling, and what you were talking about, Michigan State's bigs, and just Michigan State in general. First Big Ten Conference Tournament championship since 2018 for Tom Izzo. And Michigan State, the man just reinvents himself whenever he needs to and just finds ways to win in March. Michigan State is going to be my pick to come out of the South. And it's going to be hard for me to not click on Florida, but I got to say St. John's, that Big East tournament run was so impressive. And that is a team, again, I mentioned it on Thursday, a team that's peaking at the right time, a team that believes in itself, a team that is coached by one of the all-time greats in the game, and a team that, if you get that Florida-St. John's matchup, I feel like you could just might as well flip a coin and tell me who wins because I feel like it'll be that great of a game. So it's either going to be Florida or St. John's for me. I'm leaning St. John's right now to come out of the West. So a couple of 2 seeds there, right? So I got Michigan State and St. John's. Over to the Midwest, man. Tennessee does have a super easy path.
Look at that path, man. Kentucky is the 3.
But my issue is that I look at Gonzaga and I look at that.
Becomes a lot easier what they would.
If Gonzaga beats Houston in the second round, which, it's not like you'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. No, yeah. Like it's extremely feasible, right? Gonzaga, and they're not going to lose to Purdue or Clemson or whoever comes out of there. Like the winner of that Houston Gonzaga game, and no disrespect to all of our Georgia fans online with us right now, but I honestly think that that's going to be the widest margin of victory in an 8-9 matchup, the Gonzaga over Georgia there. If Zags win that one, I would love to see a Tennessee and Gonzaga, Elite 8 to punch a ticket to the Final Four. I actually feel like this side, Mike, I could see Tennessee going. I could see Houston going. I could see Gonzaga going. Could I see, anybody?
3, 4, 5, 6.
Could I see Kentucky going? I could see Kentucky going. I could see Kentucky making a run. I could see Kentucky making a run. You can't tell me that Mark Pope can't get it. I know they're a little banged up.
They can't stop anybody.
Oh, well, you didn't even let me get to that. You didn't even let me. You try to make an excuse for the fact that they play Olay defense. You didn't even let me. You think they would get by Illinois?
Illinois doesn't play defense either, so it's
Okay,
gonna
so there you go, right there. If Kentucky can, I don't think Troy's going to be an issue. I mentioned that earlier. You pushed back a little bit on that, but I think Kentucky handles their business there. Illinois trying to play one of those teams. Texas Xavier, that's a trap. That is such a huge trap there. My point is, Mike, is I don't want to pick Houston to go all the way in this side, and that's where I'm going to try to figure out: is it going to be Kentucky? Is it the Zags? You know, do I look at a team somewhere in there? Do I really trust Kentucky at all? You know, to make it even to the second weekend, like it's tough, but I think it would be. I think it will be a fight. I think Gonzaga and Georgia will be a fight until the Zags pull away, and I do think that they're going to handle their business there. Oh, you think Clemson, Johnny? Johnny's saying they think Clemson could do well. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to be just fine against McNeese. I'm not on that. I love Will Wade. You know I love Will Wade. I think Clemson's going to be fine, my guy.
I can't wait till our takes to just get completely destroyed. Like, I can't wait for Florida to lose in the second round. It's going to be so great.
That's right. Friend of the show, Mark Pope. Don't you forget it, Darren. That's right. You know, that's what happens. You get interviewed by one and done when you're the coach of BYU, and then a couple seasons later, you're a 3 seed at Kentucky. I don't make the rules, man. It just happens that way, okay? Friend of the show, Mark Pope, for sure. We love to see it. Hey, and we love to see how that live chat blew up. Did I give all of my picks? Did I pick that? Oh, Duke. The East one, man. Do I say Arizona?
Yeah. Dude, they're like the Aggies.
If they made a run to the Final Four, you wouldn't even blink at it, right?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, either one of those teams, right? And they're sitting right across the top of the bracket from each other. Arizona, the 4 seed. Texas A&M, a 4 seed. There's so many similarities right there. 22 wins for each one of the teams. Like, again, like, if either one of those teams made a run, you know, Arizona and Akron, okay. Oregon, I'm not super worried about Oregon in this one. That may even be where I may even look to Liberty in that one as a 5-12 upset there. But again, picking Duke makes my tummy hurt. I just say it out loud. And
there's so much hype around them too, man. Like, it's like, if they don't win, this was like, if they don't make the chance, even if they make the Final Four, it's a failure. Like, they have to win it all with this team. And it's just so hard to do. So.
Imagine being Shire and like how many times have you seen the guy who replaces the legend?
Yeah, right.
Have this sort of success.
Not Villanova.
Well, let's not. Damn it, Mike.
This offseason is going to be fun, man.
It's going to be an absolute gem. But so is this tournament, Mike. Is this tournament. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Nah, man. This is the best time of the year. Stick with us for the DFS show that will come up. I think we're going to tape on Tuesday. I will break down trying to win $25K to first. We'll probably do maybe a Wednesday nighter, maybe a short one, just kind of as we dive more into the, more of a, metrics and like, what's going on with injuries and type, how do we feel, finalize some of our picks. Cause right now, obviously we're 3 hours from when the brackets were set. We'll know if it's Texas or Xavier. We'll get to look into that matchup. We'll know if it's UNC San Diego State. We'll know who's in that one. Maybe a little more fine detail before the tournament kicks off on Thursday, man.
Yeah, let's get me live on a Wednesday night while Texas is playing Xavier in the first 4. I don't know how much of an idea that is, but we may have to do it. Darren, I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, I'm not. Do I owe that to him? Maybe, but we'll see. I mean, if they go out there and they get mollywopped in this first 4, man, like don't even get back on the plane from Dayton. Just leave them behind. I'm not picking Hurley to win to 3 in a row. Sorry, Darren. I'm not.
What if Mark Pope's wearing a one and done T-shirt on the Final Four media day?
He should be. He definitely should be. Johnny, a small school in the East region.
Is that right? Is he talking about his?
No, No, Johnny's
Who's
are
out
in the
East?
West. Johnny's are in the West.
Small school. Is it
I
St.
think that's
Mary's?
St. Mary's, my guy.
I'm in,
St.
dude.
Mary's.
I'm so
Hey.
in on St. Mary's this year.
Yeah, and that's when we want to talk about an upset in the second round, like that Alabama matchup for them. It's kind
How
of
you beat Alabama is those bigs, and guess who's hurt? Grant Nelson.
Your buddy.
So, yeah, my buddy.
Your buddy.
That's a whole other show, dude. Yes, there will. I'm going to shut up an MC Holland. I mean, God.
Yes.
The one and done. The one and done invitational.
Yeah.
Out there.
The MC Holland 34 Classic.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll get one for Thursday and Friday out there. So look for the links. We'll post them.
So good.
So good. Let's get out of here, dude.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, let's get out of here. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us for sure here on One and Done. If you watch live with us on Sunday night, we appreciate you. If you're watching the replay later on, all the way up to tournament time, we definitely appreciate you. Push the like and subscribe button. Show your broski some love. At One and Done CVB on the socials there. You can see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. What do we got? TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter's the one. X is the one where that really is the draw right now, where Mike is putting out some core fours over there for our slates as they come through. So even if we're not bringing you a DFS show, you're still getting some core fours for cash games and some lower, some higher floor plays or some tournament plays with some higher ceilings. So follow all the socials for sure. Yeah, Hurley could be the Lakers head coach. And I said earlier in the season, Darren, that I thought that he would use that as don't you turn your back on me. I turned down the Lakers. You still might do it. There's still time in this season. I hope I'm right. And I hope that you hit all those buttons, and I hope that you join us the next time that you're hanging out with us. Thanks to CC Hustle for pushing the buttons. Thanks for @FantasyNav, Eric the Blue for getting stuff done behind the scenes as well. Thanks to my guy El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship at MC Holland 34 on X, who live tweeted the hell out of that Selection Sunday show today. We appreciate him for that. I am at Dr. William Cannon on X. I'll follow you back. Push the button because I'm the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Take care of yourselves. Tell somebody that you love them. Selection Sunday is here. We have a bracket, and we've got ourselves a tournament. I love you. Tell somebody that you care about it. My name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace out.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.